Yes, all right. Okay, what a fancy intro that too 4 times. So that also gave us a lot of knowledge about what we can do or can't do. All right. So hello everybody, a very good morning to you. I have also made for you a very short and sweet PPT, which I will also share. Just give me a second. Yes, all right. I hope that PPT would be visible to you. So yes, a very good morning to everybody. My name is Kartik Kalra, and I am a student at the National Law School in Bangalore. And over here, I am with you today for a session which is titled "The Big Picture for the CLAT exam that you'll probably be preparing for the foreseeable future." Yeah. So let's go on. So yeah, this is the short and sweet PPT I have made for you. And you will probably have lots and lots of questions throughout the session as it progresses. So what you can do is that there is a live chat option over here where you can drop your question, or like wherever else you can find space on the YouTube platform. I've also made the presentation in a way that it should ideally answer the primary questions anybody would be having. If not, then we'll definitely pick it up the way that we're progressing in the session. Cool. So one very, very important question is that why are we here after all? Yeah. So the reason that I decided that I'm going to be here is that I was in the exact same position that you are probably in just a month and a half back. So I had my CLAT exam on the 23rd of July, and I got my result on the 30th of July, that too midnight. I'm not sure how midnight counts as the 30th of July, but that is how the consortium decided to treat us this year. So the fact that there is so much noise surrounding everything that you can possibly do. So therefore, I decided that I'll come here once and then we'll have a good discussion about what the exam actually wants from you and what are some concrete things that you can potentially do and some principles that you can abide by for the next 8 months, and about what the exam actually demands from you. That is the reason that I am actually here. All right. And the decision about why you are actually here should actually be answered in these two questions. So I'm starting from the very fundamentals, right? The first question over here is whether you should actually go ahead with doing law or no. And the answer to that question is that I'm not really the best person to answer that. So if you've watched the interview that Ankit sir and Amandeep sir took of mine a couple of weeks back, over there I said one thing, that you can never take a perfect decision. Meaning that you'll probably never have knowledge so exhaustive that will let you make a decision that you will surely and 100% resonate with. You can only make a decision where you are reasonably confident that, yeah, this is going to be the path to walk by. It's not going to be like a magical epiphany that comes to you one day, that this is actually what I am made for and this is what I am supposed to do, and therefore I should adopt this career path. That will probably never happen, right? So you only have to be reasonably confident of walking along the path. And how do you do that? You talk to individuals who are either already in the field, right? In the field as in who are already right now studying law. Not necessarily individuals of my batch, because I've been in law school only for 3 weeks. Heck, I've not even been to the National Law School yet. I'm attending classes from home only. So the individuals that you should ideally be talking to should be individuals who are either like done with 2 or 3 years at least of their law degree. They'll be able to tell you a lot more about what their degree entails. And along with that, you should talk to individuals who have already done their degrees and are either practicing or are doing something that's somewhat connected with the field, so as to make you in a position that you can take an informed decision over whether this is something that you'll actually be interested in or no. And if you have any ideas that people are actually made to pursue certain professions, that if you have gotten a particular, say, percentage score in your class, and therefore the only stream that is available for you is to do like engineering or sciences or something like that, that's actually a very flawed idea, because nobody's really made for anything. Like depending upon the interests that you are having, which is of course shaped by the socialization process that you are in, you are in a position to undertake such a decision. So it's not as if somebody's made to pursue a particular field. That is why they are coerced into doing that. You should be in a position right now to take an autonomous decision, free from any prejudices, free from any pressures, be it parental pressures or societal pressures in general, to be doing something or no. Because even though this isn't really something that is such a consequential step that you will never be able to amend later, but if you are committing to a 5-year law degree, it does get according to it, would indicate some sort of a commitment to you doing it. So that's the thing, that you talk to individuals who are either studying and you make a more informed decision about what actually is to be done. That is one thing that I'd say. Second thing is that whether you have decided or no, if you have decided that you really want to pursue this profession and you want to be, say, in a national law school, maybe, for that, probably CLAT would be the only way to get into it, right? Along with that, you also have the exam for NLU Delhi. But along with that, a more important question would be, is CLAT the only way if you want to do law in general, right? So here the thing is that right now, 8 months are still left for the exam. So even though there are a plethora of other examinations which are conducted by institutions autonomously by themselves, if you right now are in a position where the exam is still 8 months away, you probably can actually aspire to be in a national law school. Only not that there is a, say, disproportionate distinction that that institution will offer you as compared to some other law school. But if you are in a position right now to actually work towards it, to hone your skills and to refine your character and personality, I would say that you should go ahead with it and write the exam, right? Along with that, regressing back to the first question, should I really do law? You might ask me what I plan to do, and I will tell you that I have no idea at all, right? Because like once you are in a law school, you have 5 long years to figure out what you wish to do after that. So it isn't as if that you can have like an Amy Santiago life calendar with you, which you will commit to abide by at all times. That's probably an unrealistic expectation. So take a few steps, take some realistic and tangible, practical things that you can actually work towards. That's going to be what I say. Okay, let's go on. So yeah, indeed, the exam is still going to be at least 8 months away. It's often said that the exam is conducted in the first Sunday of the month of May. And if you want, you can calculate it, how many days and weeks and stuff are left. But broadly, you can say that the exam is still going to be 8 months away. And there is so much that a person can do within this time. And what is it to be done, that we'll see, that we'll see further. Then next thing is the exam that you're going to be writing. Is it going to be very tough? And over here, again, to some questions, corollary questions of that is, what does tough actually mean? Does tough mean tough by the nature of the exam, or does it mean by the number of individuals who are going to be appearing for the exam with you? These could be 2 further questions that you're asking. So with regards to whether the exam is going to be tough or no, that actually depends on what the exam entails. And that's a detailed discussion that we'll delve into right now. But the fact is that the exam does not have a concrete, well-defined syllabus anymore. I'm not sure whether it did earlier or no, but right now it surely doesn't. It's like a very amorphous set of skills the exam asks of you to possess before writing it. And those are the skills that we'll be discussing in detail in order to actually let you know what should be the principles that you're following. Secondly, what does it mean to get through? And this is another set of data that I collected for you. In order to get through, initially you have to define for yourself, what does it mean for me to get through? Do I need to end up, say, probably in the best law school of the country, if there is one? Otherwise, alternatively, you decide what it means for you to get through. So either you can define for yourself the institution you wish to go in, but according to me, that might not be, say, that great an idea to have right now, because you can't necessarily give an exam with the expectation that, no, I only want to do this much. Above that I don't want to do. I will attempt it only to the level that I wanted to. That only to the level that I expect the rank cutoff to be for the institution that I aspire to be in. That is a rather futile idea, because you, when you are writing the exam, have no control whatsoever over what everybody else is doing. So your rank, less than being dependent upon you, is dependent on everybody else around you. So that's again, I guess, something we were discussing in the interview itself. So meaning that if I'm incredibly stupid, but if I'm smarter than a great proportion, smarter again, maybe a say problematic word, but if I can do better than a good proportion of individuals who are appearing in the exam with me, then I'm going to be sorted. Okay. So more than you, everybody else influences your result than you do yourself. Okay. That's the point. So if you want to give a look to this data, you might, but that data itself might be rather misleading. So over here, you can look at the category wise ranking. I picked it up from my consortium portal, where you can see that the total seats available in the general unreserved category are going to be 1402. And total people who are appearing for the exam are going to be 53,000 this year. It will probably inflate a little bit next year. But does it mean that it only works on the function of probabilities, that because you're going to be one of these, say 1402, or even say when you're going to be making a decision over say what categories you'd be competing with regards to how seats are reserved vertically and horizontally? Does it really mean that it's going to be functioning only on, say, the preponderance of probabilities, and then that will influence your result? Probably not. So just some additional piece of information here, that like over there on top, you can see that 2600, somewhere near that, would be the total seats that you probably be competing for getting into a national law school. Within this, there's going to be a vertical reservation, meaning that there is going to be reservation for individuals belonging to marginalized communities, and that's going to be vertical in nature. Now, vertical over here means that within those categories, there's going to be horizontal reservation, that states where the national law school is located will be granting domicile status to those applicants, and therefore they will have a relative advantage there, because then they'd be competing in that say category, either horizontal, vertical, or an intersection of the two. Okay, so not really fundamentally important for you to know right now, but I thought I will just let you know about how the system will actually be working when you would be anticipating it for next year. Let's go on. So question over here will be that then how do you compete? If I'm saying that there are going to be 53,000 other individuals who would be appearing for the exam with you, and you'll probably be, say, within, and you have to be within like the 2,500 top people in those ranks, and only then you'd be able to get into a law school. How do you compete with individuals like that? So one thing is that the competition happens only during the 2 hours of the exam itself. Heck, not even those 2 hours. Only after the result comes out, you actually get to know that this was the level of competition. So there's nothing you can do to map, or there's nothing you can do to predetermine the level of competition that you have and then function accordingly. That's why, like I always let people know, that the scores that you are getting in your mocks, nobody cares about those scores, because they're only reflective of the skills that you would be able to possess. You would be able to map your progress, and then you'd be able to, say, skill yourself more as the time for the exam approaches. And even in general, it shouldn't really be an exam that's motivating you to have a better reading speed. It shouldn't necessarily be the exam itself which says to you that have a basic arithmetic ability. These are things in general that individuals should ideally possess. So, but with regards to this, how do you compete? You can only compete with the level of skills that you possessed the day before, because your level of skills is the only information that you tangibly possess. Of the other 60,000 people, you have no idea what they are doing. You probably no idea where they stand, and there is no way to determine where they stand in comparison to where you do right now. That's only one thing that you can get to know after the results of the exam, and by then it's going to be too late for you to be engaging in that conversation. So moral of the story is that leave worrying about the fact that you feel that somebody else might be doing something better than you right now, or someone else is writing these mocks, and therefore you're say somewhat disadvantaged because of that. If you feel that somebody is scoring better in a particular mock than you, then you just enter into a state where you're in a complete mess, and all the things that you're doing is overthinking about that. The thing is that nobody cares about where you will be in this state of progression as the exam approaches. It's only those 2 hours. And those are the only consequential 2 hours. Everybody, all 60,000 people will get those 2 hours. And what you make of that is only up to you, regardless of the 1 year, 2 years, or regardless of how much time you've spent preparing for the exam. Everybody over there will have those 2 hours. And over there, lots of people go there, and whatever investment they've made in terms of time and money for preparing for the exam, all that goes down the drain. Because it's only those 2 hours that matter. Nothing before that will be as consequential as how you use that time. So along with becoming skillful in each of these individual, say, demanding streams of skillfulness, along with that, you also become a more calm person. So that during those 2 hours when you're actually appearing for the exam, you understand that that's your time. Nobody can take that time away from you. Nothing that is going to be happening in the world will be influencing what you are doing in those 2 hours. That's how you compete. Right now in the process, you only compete with the level of skills that you possess the day before. That's the only competition that is there with you for the next 8 months. Yeah, let's go on. That's a very important question. What does the exam actually want from you? Or does it have a syllabus? So does the exam want from you that you become like a proper UPSC preparing person who's just going down to the most esoteric places on the internet to dig up stuff that can potentially be asked in the exam? Does it demand from you like a completely desensitized preparation process where every single thing that you're reading or every single thing that you're coming to know, you're only looking at it from the perspective of the exam that, yeah, man, that there's a probability that this might be asked in the exam, therefore I should be reading this? Does the exam want from you that you become completely desensitized towards all your social realities and every single thing that you read merely becomes a question answer to you? Does the exam want you to lose your complete ability to question itself? When you are in this preparation process, you come across so much information which you feel that, yeah, man, I need to remember this. This might be asked in the exam, right? Does the exam want from you to merely remember all the information, not to think, become like a very acquiescent person when it comes to accepting information, be very docile and just say that, yeah, regardless of what the social and real implications of these things are, I will just look at it from the perspective of remembering it, and then I will go, and if the questions asked, I'll just go and mark it. The exam doesn't really ask that from you. What the exam asks of you instead is a great reading ability, an ability to actually be a responsible citizen who cares about the affairs of their own country, who doesn't merely go about reading stuff from the perspective of, wow, what if this is going to be asked in the exam, but because this is something that impacts me, it impacts citizens around me, and therefore this is something I need to know more about as a responsible citizen. That is what the exam asks of you more than what I said earlier, right? Second question, does the exam really have a syllabus? In some part, I have answered this question earlier in the sense that it is a very amorphous set of skills that they've told you that you must possess in order to be able to ace the exam, which is going to be like brilliant reading ability, a mediocre arithmetic ability. Those are probably the only things which are there in terms of your syllabus for the CLAT exam. You should be able to know how to read well, and you should have basic maths, and then you should be a responsible citizen who cares about the affairs of the country, right? I will come to this point again once we are done with a couple of more slides. So here you can go to the consortium website, have a look at what the syllabus they prescribed actually is. Okay. And from reading all of that, and once you go through the sample question papers they've asked and the CLAT 2020 paper and 2021 paper, you might feel at once to completely jettison the fact there is some consistency because of the fact that you are already very annoyed with how the preparation process is going. So you will say that, no, man, these guys aren't consistent at all. One time they ask this, the other time they ask that. How do you trust whatever they're going to ask? Thing is that even they are somewhat clueless about what's going to be happening, right? Because the thing is that the paper that you are giving is not something that is made throughout the year. Your preparation is something that goes throughout the year. The guys who will be making the paper will probably sit like a month or two before the actual exam, and then they'll make it, right? So when you are going through the process and you feel that, yeah, right now I'm going to delve very, very deep into every single thing, that may not be very fruitful at this stage, because the person who's making the exam, one is that they're only sitting probably 2 months before the actual conduct of the paper, right? Second thing is that they're like expert academicians is what they say on the website itself. So probably you should trust that, right? So with that, I'd say that don't really become an individual who merely wishes to seek information because of the fact you feel it's going to be asked in the exam, because that's a very bad, very unhealthy habit in that sense, where every single thing around you becomes a question answer. That is very, you will probably become like a very irritating person if you actually go ahead with that thought that every single thing around me is a question answer. Don't do that kindly, right? Now, coming back to what I was saying earlier, this is the syllabus. You might initially feel that I will look at the consistency that they've been following in the paper. You might feel there are some aberrations here and there with regards to stuff they've actually been asking and what they're telling right here. But there is still some bit of consistency that they've maintained throughout the 6 papers that you have. Actually, you have access to 3 CLAT 2020 sample papers. You have the actual CLAT 2020 paper, and you have the CLAT 2021 paper. So you have 5 actual resources from the consortium itself. That's going to be 5 times 15. That's going to be 750 questions are right there with you, which have been asked by the actual examination conducting body. Utilize them, because even if there are some aberrations here and there with regards to stuff they ask, there is going to be a semblance of consistency that's always and always maintained in the paper, right? And that will be in the terms of skills that I've told you earlier, right? Let's move on. So this is going to be it. Over here, the thing is that comprehension, mere reading, is 100 questions in total. This is something that I actually looked from the 2021 paper. General knowledge is going to be 35 questions. Maths is going to be 15 questions, from which 5 questions were somewhat incorrect from my perspective, but they are saying there are 15 questions. Okay, so I hope the questions you get next year are going to be all correct. But if not, then you have to be very quick-witted with regards to stuff that you're going to be doing. Okay, so the comprehension part is going to be taking 100 questions, knowledge 35 and maths 15. Now, oftentimes, people ask me that, can you only get through the exam if you are smart? And I have a problem with using the word smart itself, because it indicates that there is certain innate presence of qualities within the individual, which are letting them ace the exam. And it is a very bad mindset to actually possess, because you can grow as a person and you can grow all the time. So merely the fact that you believe that an individual has had an advantage merely in a form that you believe they're going to be smart and therefore they'll be able to ace the exam, that's probably not it, because that's a non-growth oriented mindset, saying that only the skills that you possess right now, though those are the only ones which can count, and you can't really do much now because I don't know why. So that should also be a mindset that you again decide to ignore altogether and decide to throw in the bin. Okay, so regardless of where you feel you stand in terms of these 3 skills that the exam demands from you, every single thing in the English, legal, and logic section probably demands from you similar skills. English and logic, if I won't have told you the names of the sections in the CLAT 2021 paper, and if I would have just switched them around, you probably won't have been able to tell the difference between what is English and what is logic. Okay, with regards to legal, you probably would have say somewhat little bit complex things were asked of there, but it's not really something extraordinary, which is something that you cannot anticipate, right? It's going to be somewhat on expected lines only, and you have with you 5 question papers in order to let you make that decision over what is the exam actually asks. So don't take it from me blindly saying that because there are going to be these 3 skills, that's what I'm going to work on. Go look at these 5 papers. Look at what the consortium has actually told you they want to ask. Go look at the videos that have been made by the president of the consortium, Professor Hassan Mustafa, where he also says that these are the skills that we would be expecting from an individual appearing for the exam. And then you work accordingly. All right. Okay, let's go on. Yes, that's also a great question that some of you might have, but all right. Should you actually go to a coaching center, and whether it gives you any relative advantage merely because you are in a coaching center, right? The first part of it is something that even though I've touched upon earlier, I will go at it again. Many of the institutions that you will probably look up to for your preparation process, it also reduces most things in life to a question answer thing, right? Because over there also you become a very acquiescent person again, in the sense that you accept what is served to you. And it is a systematic attack on your ability to ask questions, on your ability to dissent, right? Because every single thing, when it is given to you directly, you feel that this is everything that I'm going to be doing. There's no additional hard work that I'm going to be putting into it. And therefore, because I'm in this coaching center, this is all that is to the exam, and this is what I'm going to be working towards. Whether it gives you any relative advantage or no is something that you should be able to mathematically calculate, right? You go through all these websites where everybody boasts about the number of students that are attending their classes, and then you just add them all together. Lots of people attend multiple ones as well. But over there, if you add them all together and then you see how many seats there are and how many people go to coaching classes, that should be something that gives you an idea that it primarily won't really be the coaching class that makes such a significant impact on your success in the exam. It's all going to be on you yourself. So regardless of whether you go to your coaching center or no, that is actually subsumed within the larger learning process that you will be adopting for the next 8 months. That is going to be to become a responsible citizen who cares about the affairs of their country and doesn't really look at things in such a transactional manner that you will let me know the question and I will give you the answer. That is not what the exam wants. Okay. So, but whether you should go towards one or no should be an autonomous decision whether you are taking, because what it could do potentially for you is to give you a platform for that learning. You can do it alternatively by your own as well. But over there, lots of people prefer to go to them so that it can be in a more systematic process. So one thing is that of course, stuff over here is rather expensive as well. Okay, most coaching centers that you'd probably be looking at, they'd be charging from you a lot of money to be attending those classes themselves. And therefore, there is this systematic problem with the CLAT exam itself, that in one sense, they say that we are completely against commercialization of education and we do not really want you to be going to these coaching centers. That's a video that Professor Faizan Mustafa himself made a little while back. But the thing is that lots of kids are already going over here, and the types of questions that probably had been asked in the exam this year, they will further those same contentions, that it is going to become more important for students in the sense that they'll feel that because these things are somewhat complex from their perspectives right now, they'll feel that it could be a bit beneficial to go to one. So that is a problem that is more systematic in that sense. A problem that is also systematic and is a far greater problem is that 60,000 people are willing to choose this field and at least give this exam. And there are only 2,500 seats that are here in the institutions themselves. That's a far greater systematic problem on which lots and lots of work needs to be done. Okay, but with regards to this question right here, whether it gives you any relative advantage, the answer to that is going to be a big no. Because you just calculate how many kids go to coaching centers and then you calculate how many kids end up in national law schools, and then you'll probably have a good answer with regards to that. Yes, all right, let's go on. Then, how much should you be studying every single day for the exam? And what if somebody one-ups you because you did not study enough? This is a constant anxiety that I used to have probably in the months of November to December last year, where I felt that every single second that you are not spending towards studying for the exam, somebody else could be spending those 2 to 3 seconds, and therefore they have an opportunity that is greater than you because they've studied more than you. So this is something that I've emphasized many times earlier also, but things with regards to, say, exams and events like these, they do not work out in a linear fashion, meaning that the number of marks that you will get or the rank that you're going to be getting, that is not really proportional to the number of hours that you spend preparing for the exam. Therefore, mere activity does not equal productivity. So because you feel that lots of other people are spending tons and tons of hours preparing for the exam, people have been preparing for 2-3 years, and therefore you should spend your entire day just doing this. And that too not really in a very scientifically designed manner. You just pick up what comes in front of you. You don't really map your own abilities. You either, if you're going to a coaching center, you just say, take whatever they're spoon feeding to you and you take that information with you. That's probably not a productive way to go about it, is what I'd say, right? So whether you should be studying for long hours every single day for the exam is something that will be determined after you sit down with a piece of paper, you map your own abilities, and you see where your skill set really lies right now and what you need to do in order to increase whatever skills that you have with regards to these 3 major arenas that are here right now. That is a decision that you'd be able to take after that. One thing is that don't make the exam your life. 1 year, 8 months, it's a big time. It's a large amount of time. And if you're saying the only thing that you're going to be doing in this time is preparing for the exam, that's also a very unhealthy idea in that sense. Because I won't really say that an exam should be a person's life at 17 or 18 years of age. Yeah, there are many other things that you're going to be doing. You should go play something. You should go watch television shows, talk to your family, do many things other than merely studying. And that's something that I can tell you from a little bit introspection from what I myself had adopted as my preparation process. It's a very unhealthy idea to say that you prepare, you study for 6, 7, 8 hours every day. All you do is prepare, read, eat, and sleep. Don't do that, especially not at this age, not at any age for that matter. Okay. Second thing, what if somebody one-ups you because you did not study enough? I'm looking at some of the say comments over here, but we'll just come to it in a very short while. Okay. But what if someone one-ups you because you feel you didn't study enough for the exam, right? That's also a reasonable question to ask. Again, the thing is that you can't really map where somebody else is standing in opposition to where you are right now. So whether somebody can do that or not, that is a question that you can only ask retrospectively after you know what results the exam has actually brought forth. And then it will be too late to ask this question. Therefore, this is a very bad question, that nobody can one-up you because you did not study enough. Study only to the degree where you believe that it brings to you certain utility with regards to your own skills. If it does not, you stop right then and there, and then you move on to everything else that your life entails. Do not make an exam your entire life. Okay. Now let's go to the next slide if there are any. Okay. Oh, all right. Again, wonderful question. How many marks should you give? And does it mean that if I give like a lot of marks, meaning that if you appear for a mock every second, third day, you give 100 marks in the entire year, does it mean that you're actually getting better at it and you have a greater chance of, say, scoring well at the exam? Probably not. Okay. So the thing is that giving mocks in a very perfunctory manner, believing that the number of mocks you give is going to be proportional to your score, or the number of hours you study will be proportional to your score, is a very bad idea, because it will probably not be. So the utility that you are deriving from every successive hour of studying, that is what takes precedence over the number of hours together by themselves. The number of mocks that you are giving, if you are giving them only with the sense that you have to exhaust all the material that has been bestowed upon you very gracefully by your coaching center, because you feel that everybody else is doing so much and you're not doing enough, therefore you should be giving every mock that is over here, like every second day you are giving a mock, that's not really a good idea. Because unless you actually spend a couple of days with a mock exam that you've given, only then would you be able to discern what went wrong. So go through every single question in so much depth that if anyone asks you a question which requires a similar skill set again, you give yourself the confidence that I can never get this wrong anymore, right? Therefore, more than the number of mocks that you will be giving, what actually matters is the time that you are spending with each successive mock. And the fact that you are not repeating the mistakes that you committed in one mock in the next mock. Because otherwise, the idea of giving the mock earlier, that is an entire waste. Because nobody in the entire world cares about the scores that you are getting in these mocks. All that matters is what you are able to gain in terms of skills from every single mock, and to avoid mistakes that you have committed in this mock. Commit new mistakes. That is a great idea. Commit as many new mistakes as you can, so that with every successive time that you are writing, like either a sectional test or a mock, you're able to discern what are the mistakes that I've committed here, and what can I do to avoid committing them again. That is going to be much more important than merely the number of mocks that you're giving. And with regards to that only, I'll tell you one more thing, that in the legal reasoning section, I also had a couple of mock series last year. Okay. So I also appeared for them, many mocks. But in total, I didn't really give as many of my other batchmates at the National Law School would have. But over here, I gave 40 mocks in total in the entire year, including CLAT and AILET and a couple of other ancillary examinations. So more does not really mean better, but the time that you're spending with each is going to be mattering more. Coming back, many a times in many of the sections where the answer that I had marked was not the correct answer, and that used to happen so much. And the correct answer was one that I used to disagree with, saying that no, the guy who's making the question doesn't really know as much as I do. And therefore the correct answer that is there is the one that I have marked. They have gotten it wrong, right? That is a feeling that I used to have many times. Okay. But only when you actually sit down and look at somebody else's perspective on why an answer should be the correct one is when you are actually able to look at things from perspectives other than your own, which is incredibly important. Because Amandeep Sir and I were also discussing this in the interview. He said that the concept of cognitive bias kicks in very frequently, in the sense that you feel that you are going to be the individual who's correct all the time and everybody else is wrong when it comes to that situation, right? That is something that happens very frequently. So for that, I'd say you come up with either lots of study groups with friends of yours who are devoted towards the thing that you are preparing for as well. And there should be complete honesty with regards to the preparation process that you are engaging in. So one thing I'd say is that you don't hop on to all these public groups on Telegram where everybody's just giving everyone else anxiety, saying that I am scoring this much and I am doing all this with regards to my preparation, and everybody's just boasting about stuff, and some of which is probably not even true, right? So I won't really encourage you to join groups like that where you'd be interacting with individuals, but get to know people who share similar values as you do, with regards to the honesty and principles they've established for yourself for the preparation process. And then you either talk to them, you meet on Zoom frequently. I had three of my brilliant other friends. I don't know whether they're also here right now, but Kartik, Lakshya, and Hanan. And we used to analyze what we were doing wrong in these successive mocks. And all of them are in brilliant national law schools right now. Okay. So over here, if you are able to plan this journey and are able to live this journey, you're able to enjoy the process with friends of yours where your life isn't the exam, but it's just a small part of the exam. But the friendships that you're making in the process of it, they transcend the exam itself. And those are things that you will forever cherish. Okay. So that is another additional thing. But coming back over here, how many mocks should I give? Is again a question that you can probably decide on the basis of where you feel that you have stopped gaining any marginal advantage from appearing for each mock. So once you feel that, man, I am done now, that's a feeling that you have somewhat occasionally when you feel that, no, from every mock that I'm giving, even when I analyze my mistakes, it doesn't really seem that I can do anything else. You take a little break, you stop for a week or two, and you do other things in life. And then maybe you decide to come back. But according to me, say 20 to 25 mocks that you're giving and you're analyzing them very, very well through the next 8 months, that should put you in a great position. And how do you analyze them would be a wonderful question. And for that, like what I am doing here is that I am attempting to make certain analysis videos of each mock where I'm showing how, say, certain questions have to be gone about. How do you think when you are confronted with a particular question? So if you are here at Pratham, I believe that could be advantageous to you. Surely look out for that. But if not, also sit down very peacefully and look at what went wrong. Look at the reasoning process that you had employed earlier. And is it distinct from what this passage demanded of you? You look at it from those perspectives. You analyze whether you were distracted during the time of the mock. So one thing is those 100 questions of comprehension that you are facing, right? The primary problem is not your ability to merely comprehend. The problem are the dozens of distractions that are always and always troubling you, right? Whenever you sit down, and there's something that happens at elementary levels when you are beginning with this preparation process, what will happen is that devote yourself and passage saying, I will read this for so much detail, thoughts which are not even connected to what you are doing. And the way to eliminate these problems is to just go about it. You do not stop until you feel that your mind is in such a clear position that it's able to focus entirely on a single project. Meaning that having a clear mind is extremely important when it comes to the process. So, and that's very important for your comprehension questions and also for your mathematical ability. When you are, say, doing certain calculation in your head, if you've just forgotten the previous number, you were supposed to add this number too, then you are in a very bad position, right? And therefore, I'll say that being a calm person, being an individual who has a clear mind when it comes to focusing on singular projects, that is very, very important. Okay, so I've told you how many mocks you should give, and does more mean better? And that has an answer, an absolute answer with a big no. More does not mean better. It only means that you are doing it probably with a very perfunctory manner, saying that I just wish to look at the number of mocks that I've given, but not really my skills. There will probably not be many people you'd be able to boast about of the number of mocks that you've given. So probably leave that idea and start looking at every single thing that you can get to gain from each successive mock. Okay, that's what I would say. Let's go to the next question. All right, I recently learned how to insert emojis in PowerPoint. Therefore, I've been exploiting that ability very well. So this one says that if you are scoring less in the mocks that you're giving and you are feeling fearful of attempting more, what should you do? In the sense that if you feel fearful of attempting more mocks because you have been scoring not very well in the mocks that you're giving, that is probably a fear that has come from you from looking at the final marks that you are seeing on the screen when you are uploading your answers. So the way that you should probably be going about your mocks is that you have a printed question paper with you and you have an OMR sheet and you are giving the mock from 2 to 4 every Sunday. Not every Sunday, meaning that whichever Sunday suits you or like whichever day suits you. But if you are giving it from 2 to 4, your body clock, changes itself to the level that it gives you a lot of comfort when you're doing it on the day of the exam itself. So if you are able to map your daily schedule accordingly, in the sense that you are waking up at a particular time and you are going to sleep at one time, that gives you a lot more discipline in life. And that will be very important when it comes to the actual day of the exam. So if you're up till 4 a.m., 5 a.m. In the morning, and then you are going to sleep, it might get very problematic on the day of the exam itself, because now it's been such an ingrained habit that it becomes very difficult to come out of. All right. So that's one thing. But let's come back over here. That if you feel fearful of attempting more mocks, that fear is caused by the fact that you feel that the rank that comes to you after submitting the mock is one that is very low, in the sense that it's in the hundreds or 200, something like that, if so many people are appearing for the mock with you. And the marks that you're getting are also not really able to reach up to the extent that you had thought. And again, all of it comes to the fact that it's something very personalized, right? In the sense that it should only be impacting you in the sense of whether you feel there was an opportunity cost that you could have taken, that this was something that you knew, but maybe because of some extraneous thought that came to you, maybe because of the fact that you were distracted by some things that are around you, you could not answer it to the level, and therefore you had a loss of these marks in your mock exam, right? That are things that cause the fear of attempting more. So what you do is that the mock where you feel that you've not really scored as well, you sit down with that and then you attempt the same mock again. One thing is that you analyze it for 2-3 days, like the day that I told you earlier, that you sit down with the mock for at least 2 to 3 days, and then you look at 2-3 hours every single day, and then you look at each section individually. But other than that, you give the same mocks again and again as well, right? Instead of going through new material and having a sense that you have to exhaust every single thing that's given to you, I would say that you have limited material, which you do many times, and then you keep repeating it until you feel that, yes, you are really confident with regards to stuff like this, right? What should you do in situations like this? What you should actually do would be to sit down, look at it, everything that went wrong, and then you give the same thing again, right? That is what you should do according to me in a situation like this. All right. Okay, let's move on. Okay, then what principles should there be that you live by for the next 8 months? This is probably the last slide that I have here. What should be the principles that you will live by for the next 8 months? And this is actually very connected to some of the earlier discussions that we've had, that the process should not be one that desensitizes you to all social realities around you. Rather, it should make you a more responsible, principled, and informed person, right? Those are the values that are actually important in life and when it comes to this exam as well. All right. One very important thing is that you enjoy the process. That if you are doing so many things that you aren't really enjoying very much while doing, you're absolutely hating doing whatever you are, you feel that every single thing is a burden, you have to move on to something which actually gives you more fun, in a sense, it gives you more happiness, you feel happier when doing it, and you feel that right now whatever's given to you, it's an absolute burden, you don't like doing it and you want to go somewhere else, then a very important mindset shift is required here. Because unless you're actually able to enjoy everything that you're going to be doing throughout this time, you'll probably not really be able to enjoy much after you come into law school as well, because it's somewhat similar things that are demanded of you. So when you are doing anything with regards to your preparation process, don't consider it to be like an absolute burden that you just have to go through and then it's very troubling and very problematic. Rather, you embrace what you are doing. You say that right now I'm going to be reading the newspaper and I'll get to know the happenings of my country, and I will actually, of course, happenings in the country may not be ones that you will be very happy at after you are looking at them. But the fact that you are becoming a more informed person by the day, you are becoming a more principled person, calmer person by the day, should be something that is encouraging you to undertake it more. So the process should be one that's enjoyable. It shouldn't really be that you're absolutely hating what you are doing. Right. That is one more thing that I wanted to let you know. So these are all the things that I had collected from things that could be important with regards to your preparation process. All right. I think I had these slides only with me. I'll just check that out. Yeah. All right. So lots of questions over. Okay. Lots of questions over here. Let's see everything that's been asked over here. All right, so Arib has joined it. He says, hello, Kartik, my favorite person. Arib, you're very cute. Thank you very much. Okay, all right. Then Shaleen is over here. Thank you so much, Shaleen. I'm very grateful. Then, all right, okay, but there are no real questions. Everybody here is from NLSI only. What are you guys doing over here? You are already there. How many times you wish to write CLAT, man? Okay, seems like the National Law School has spammed this comment section and we don't really have real questions over here. But then let's see. All right, so then Shivam Sharma asks, is AP Bhardwaj enough for legal? The thing is that whatever book that you'd probably decide to go through for the legal section, you have not to be, so you're not really supposed to go through the book in the sense that this is going to be sufficient for this section or no. It's only going to be that the legal section desires of you an ability to recognize what rules are given over there. Okay, you're able to see the rules, you're able to identify them. That's how it's very distinct from the earlier pattern, especially with regards to the legal section, because earlier you were just given the 2 principles or 3 principles at max, and then you merely had to make a decision over which one of these is applicable and whether any of these are applicable or no, and then your answer will be right there with you. Over here, given that it's going to be 400 to 450 word passage, there will also be an additional step now, would be to look at the entire dialogue that is happening. They will give you various perspectives towards it. And then from that, you will be required to recognize which one of these is a legal rule, which will be applicable in the situation that I am facing. This is going to be a form of reasoning that is called deductive reasoning, in the sense where you are given general rules in the CLAT passage, and then you are given specific circumstances where those rules are applied. So I'm not sure whether the book that you are talking about, that is going to be AP Bhardwaj, is going to be sufficient for your legal section or no. But what is going to be sufficient is going to be reading your newspaper every single day, and to be reading it from the perspective that what are the legal principles involved here and how can they apply in certain specific circumstances. All right, that's going to be a perspective that is more beneficial than merely solving a book. All right, let's go further. I can't really see many questions over here. All right. Okay, let's look at that again. All right, so Raj says, should we join Pratham? That's not really my consideration. So those should be other individuals that you are talking to with regards to answering that question. Okay, so Nandini Sharma says that, please give me shout out, sir. I am big fan. That's very cute, Nandini. Okay, hello. All right, so I don't really see many other important questions. So I hope I was able to clear many of the things that I wanted to discuss through all the slides that I had made for you. And I hope that would be really beneficial when it comes to your exam next year. So I hope you have a wonderful time the next 8 months preparing for the exam. And hopefully you're going to be in the batch of 2027 at the National Law School next year. And hopefully I'd be willing to see you there itself. Okay. Thank you very much. All right. The last slide as well. Thank you very much. I hope you had a great time. I did. Thank you so much. Okay. Bye-bye.